Hello and a warm welcome back. Today on the bench is the preamplifier that I made some time ago. This is the power supply for it. Everything works okay, however it does have one minor issue. Forgive the noise, there's a bit of a storm outside. So it has a DC regulated heater supply. There was a LM317 here and a TIP 3055 series pass transistor here. This whole front panel here was getting rather warm in front of this bit here. So the other issue was that the LM317 had its sort of resistors and other components just sort of loosely tacked onto its legs, which was less than optimum. So my plan is to put this copper plate in there with two TIP 3055s on there. They will need resistors on the base and emitters so that they share the current equally. These are just, where are we, 0.1, oh no, actually the 1 ohm resistors and 10 ohm resistors. And then the other thing, to make a better job of the LM313, I found this little plate in these sort of bits of stuff, and I've mounted some of the components onto a bit of a small PCB there, and then that will sit in there something like that, and then obviously it'll give better support to this 1K 10-turn pot on there and do a lot better job. Right, after a bit of fettling, to-ing and fro-ing, that's the LM317 mounted on its heatsink, part of its heatsink. It's going to have another bit here, every little bit helps. The adjustment pot is securely mounted where before it was a bit iffy. A couple of resistors mounted on the bottom, they're just to set the voltage at where we want it. That's the ground. This is a ground. This is our, what is that? That goes to a basis of the TIP 3055s, and then all we need to do is pop in a wire there for the, what is it? That's, hold on. Yeah, no, here. That's the input. So we need a wire here for the input. And then I need to put a little bit of tape on this bit here to stop that shorting, and some tape on the back there, as well as mounting a sill pad and all the gunk. All the wires are now on, and then what I've also done is use some nail varnish as a substitute for conformal coating, just to make sure that there are no shorts and what have you. And next I need to assemble it properly. So we'll put this, get it on there. Wrong, innit? Right, now I'm trying to get this bit of tape on the bottom of the board there to insulate it from that metal mount thingy. So that's on there. I also need to put a bit of tape to make sure the circuit board doesn't contact this bit of metal. There we go. Right, on with the gunk. I'm never quite sure whether you're supposed to put heat compound with a sill pad or not, but can't hurt, can it? And it will stick it in place, because assembling the whole shebang is gonna be tricky. Stick him on there. Right, and then it goes there. You can't see, sorry about this, really hard to frame this. Right, next we've got to try and somehow do this one-handed, try and get this little screw here and there, which is going to be a joy to do. I've got a little, hold on, I've got these little what-do-you-call-its that hold a screw in, you know, for such a job as this. So they go in there like that. Right. Oops. Oh, here we go. Can just get that. Nope. Alright. Come on, old chap, in you go. Oh, biscuits. I went in earlier on, I think it's just this doings. Right, there we go. And of course it's a bit tricky as well, because you don't want to cross this little plastic doodah thing. Yeah, and I know the sill pad's moved. Okay, that doesn't seem to be cross-threaded. It's only just got to hold it in place. Right. Then we've got that bit that's got to go on there also with a bit of... Oh, you didn't think of that, did you peanut? Right. Okay, so I've got to try and find some sort of spacer there. So that's the LM317 in with its circuit board and what have you. I'm going to give it a quick test and then I can move on to the TIP 3055 assembly, let's call it. This is the TIP 3055, the series pass transistor assembly, let's call it. So you can see we've got this big thick piece of copper, the two TIP 3055s mounted on there, and then I've used a couple of standoffs, and that will be our emitter or our out as it were, and this will be our base. So as you can see, I've sort of tried to bend all the leads to the resistors so that they look nice and everything, but also trying to keep in mind that you want to keep your leads short and everything so we don't get any spurious oscillation, but hopefully that's what these 10 ohm resistors will stop any of that. So what I do, I just bend the resistor lead into what I think needs it, you know, is the right shape, should I say, and then I use things like screwdrivers or anything, you know, other resistors sometimes. So yeah, to bend the lead in a nice sort of curve, just bend it round the screwdriver, or mucky nose I just noticed, or another one, and there you go. And then so it's just a matter of estimating pretty much where you want it. One moment. A bit of fresh solder on that. A bit more fresh solder on here. And then let's try and move that more in shot. And and you just got to tack it. Ooh, a bit hard to do this around the camera. In fact, it's very hard to do this around the camera. There we go. That's tucked in position now. Some people will say, oh, you've got to have a really good mechanical joint, you know, which means crimping down on a bit of wire around a whatever it is you're joining, but I've never held to that idea. I think I mentioned this once before, because if you have to go back and make adjustments, it's a right sod. And the same applies for the poor bugger that's got to go and fault find a thing should it go wrong in the future. It might be 10-20 years in the future, but you know, you can imagine like the chap who's working on a bit of gear you made or you've worked on, trying to get the damn thing off. And the thing is that when you've got a really good strong mechanical joint, then you have to apply a lot of force to get that joint to yield, if that's the right word. So enough rabbiting about that, and then it's just a matter of just remove the mold grips. So we've got, looks alright on that. Actually it could have done with it being a bit longer, but never mind. And then we need to got to go from here to there. So just have a guess. Try, would that do it? Might do. Yeah, I mean, I would have probably used a bigger one really and done that a bit more rounder, bigger curve, bigger radius. That's the word. And then you just guess it really. Cut it off, bend that round there. Let's try and do that on camera. I mean, all this is fiddly and takes time, but it does do a nice aesthetic job. So I'll tack that in. Well, I'll properly solder that now. Let's just get me more grips again so it can jiggle about. Of course the damn thing is reflecting all over the fucking shop. So then just go in and solder it properly. And then go back to the joint that you just tacked. And solder that properly too. And move it if you need be. There we go. So I was ready to try it in the old power supply, and then I checked this heatsink, and as you can see, that plonks up against this resistor. It should be down here somewhere, so cock up number one, got to move that resistor. While the iron's heating up, so I can take that resistor off, need to make a couple of mica pads. But this stuff isn't easy to fettle. Oh no, that's not going too bad. Oh, that's gone quite good. Sometimes it sort of, I don't know if you can see that. So I don't know if you can see that. It sort of fractures along the cut. It's tricky to drill as well, but we'll give it a go.